the Zoomer. I'm Marissa Lennox. We have a special holiday episode for you today. For the next hour, we hope to bring you nothing but joy and happiness with performances by Robbie Lane and the Disciples. And all the inspiration you need for the best holiday season ever, including festive food and drink recipes. And if you're wondering about those last-minute gift ideas, we have you covered. But first, to kick it all off, here's Robbie Lane and the Disciples.
I got my mojo working, but it just don't work on you. I got my mojo working, but it just don't work on you. I wanna love you so bad, I just don't know what to do. I'm going down to Louisiana just to buy me a mojo hand. I'm going down to Louisiana just to buy me a mojo hand. I'm gonna have you pretty women obey my command. I got my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I get my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I get my working. I got my mojo working. I get my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I get my mojo working, but it just don't work on you. Oh, let's play it, son. Do it. Advice, and that's nice. I got a sweet little mama giving me advice. I got a few little drinks I'm keeping here on ice. I got my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I get my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I get my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I get my mojo working. I got my mojo working. I get my mojo working, but it just don't work on you. All right, baby, here we go. Keep going. So much. Thank you.
Robbie Lane and the Disciples, everybody.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, while I have you on stage, I have to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
You were one of the founders of the Toronto sound of the 60s, which spawned the likes of, oh my gosh, I could name so many. George Oliver, Dominic Triano, Ronnie Hawkins, which led to the band, and so many amazing other musicians. When you reflect back on that time and being part of such an elite group of people, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind is I started when I was 13 in a band. What? I was in public school,
We had a neighborhood band called the BJ Rebels and changed the name to the Lincolnaires, finally the Disciples, got lots of high school gigs, then eventually went with Ronnie Hawkins. And that really trained us because he was a taskmaster. We would rehearse every night, hours a night after we'd finish playing. And I never thought that I would still be here doing this, but I am so blessed and so grateful for you because you people are the ones that have supported us.
Who was your inspiration? Every musician has someone that inspired them to some extent. Who
I
was
think
yours?
I had a lot of artists that I was inspired by, especially some of the blues, Ray Charles and a lot of the blues artists. But rock and roll wise, it would have been the Hawk and Elvis and Little Richard. So those kind of founding fathers of rock and roll. Chuck Berry.
Yep. Okay, well, when you think about the richness of that era, I mean, could you ever have imagined in your wildest dreams how lasting that music would be today?
Well, I'm thankful it is because I wouldn't have a job at Zoomer if it wasn't.
Well, there's well, and also when you're thinking about the music of that era and you compare it to the stuff that's being produced today, so much of it engineered. I mean, what is that?
Well, I don't know, but I think John Lennon once said there's only two kinds of music, good and bad. And I think you'll find that there's good music in today's music just as there was many years ago in the beginning of our era. And Drake and I have a deal. Drake fans came in to see us once and said, do you do any Drake material? And I said, no. I said, we have an agreement. I don't do any of his. He doesn't do any of mine.
All right, well, here you are today, now at Zoomer Radio. What took you, what was the transition from being Robbie Lane and the Disciples in the 60s to now connecting with Moses? What was that transition?
A lucky transition, I would say. But we started playing a house gig out in the west end of the city every Sunday, Hollywood on the Queensway. And they wanted to do some advertising on air. And Chum, at the time, was the only oldie station in town. So I voiced those commercials. And out of that came a show at Chum. And I was on air at Chum for just over 10 years. And then they shut down and became a sports station. And I came to Zoomer and said, please give me a job.
Well, I'm sure it was the easiest hire Moses has ever made.
Well, I don't know.
Robbie's sticking around.
And we'll be right back.